So we have a federal judge in San Francisco, one of 1,000 federal judges. Do you know his name? No, of course you don't know his name. But he has decided that President Trump's decision to require people seeking asylum to actually come to legal ports of entry, locations where they know they can come, as opposed to just rushing a 2,000-mile-long border, is Trump changing the law. So the illegal aliens are not changing the law. It's the President of the United States trying to enforce the law. And this left-wing judge, that is, a lawyer in black robe, he's decided that he's going to run the immigration policy in the country. Out of San Francisco, out of his office, where he knows absolutely nothing, where he's in charge of absolutely nothing, where he's trained in only the law as a general matter. He's responsible for absolutely nothing. He's appointed for life, and he's decided for the entire country, he's going to set immigration policy. This has been going on a lot since President Trump became president. These Obama judges and Clinton judges, left-wing judges all. So how dare the President of the United States try to stop illegal aliens advised by slip-and-fall immigration lawyers on the phrases to drop in order to get into the country and then be released, but come back in 2 years to court, Come out of the shadows, come back, and we know they don't. And the judge has decided the President of the United States has absolutely no power to do anything about it. Nothing. Nothing. The Congress has decided the President of the United States has no power whatsoever to build a wall and secure the border. Nothing. The media in the United States has decided when people by the thousands are trying to get into this country illegally that the president shouldn't call that an invasion because he's whistleblowing to his KKK and neo-Nazi base, you see. Giving them a wink and a nod. That he should call them a parade. Just poor people who are hungry trying to come into the United States. The fact that 80% of them are young men. The fact that 500 out of a few thousand are criminals. Criminals need food too, ladies and gentlemen. Criminals need food too. So what if they're let loose into your neighborhoods? Well, just take your guns away, as Congressman Swalwell, probably the biggest buffoon of them all, suggests, and we'll undermine the police force. So you won't be able to defend yourself. We'll undermine your local police department. The borders will be wide open, and we'll have paradise right here in America. Meanwhile, your taxes will go up for your public school system. Your taxes will go up for your public health system. Your taxes will go up for local law enforcement, and you'll have no say whatsoever. We have a judge in San Francisco that has decided, for every corner of the United States, every region of the United States, every neighborhood in the United States, what the rules are going to be when it comes to asylum. Because he doesn't want the president, quote unquote, rewriting long-established law. No, he'll do it instead. It used to be understood in the federal judiciary that this is an area where the president has plenary power. In fact, the Supreme Court said so when the great Anthony Kennedy ruled on a 5-4 decision that the fact that Arizona was passing state laws to actually enforce federal law, and Barack Milhouse Benito Obama with his mommy issues, that he actually didn't want to enforce federal law. Well, the state of Arizona has no right to enforce federal law if the President of the United States won't enforce federal law. Go figure that one out. But now we have a judge, a real judge in San Francisco, who said the president doesn't have that. Let's call this what it is. The federal government and all of its instrumentalities, whether it's the bureaucracy, the administrative state, whether it's Congress, regardless of party, the judiciary, the unelected. They're pushing the country in one direction and one direction only. They have, quote unquote, I will argue, constitutionalized the progressive agenda. They've constitutionalized it. So they take the Constitution and they bastardize it. That's what they've done. All of a sudden, foreigners who don't even belong into this country have constitutional rights. Their children are automatically American citizens if they're born in this country. Where did this come from? Nobody knows. It started in the 60s and 70s. We think out of the Social Security Administration or one of the departments, and it was pushed by the bureaucracy. The president says, I want to undo this by executive order. You can't change the law by executive order. What law? But don't worry, George Conway, of the famous law firm of Conway, and Wrongway, he's putting together a group of real conservative lawyers who are not going to abandon their principles, and they are going to fight Trump when he doesn't follow and toe the liberal line. So the federal judiciary is especially out of control right now because this president, not for philosophical reasons, just for policy and common sense reasons, is trying to pull the nation back from the precipice, from the abyss. And this is why he's hated. This is why he's hated. You don't have to agree with every single thing he says. You don't have to agree with every single thing he does. This is a historic presidency. Because he doesn't toe the line of Washington, D.C., either party. The Republican Party is not a conservative party. The Republican Party is a soft progressive party. The Democrat Party is a hardcore statist party. Now, the administration buys into aspects of this, but it doesn't buy into it across the board, and he fights them, and they don't like it. The media are liberal. They're in the tank. Let's stop kidding ourselves. They're not defending freedom of the press. They're defending liberalism. They're defending progressivism. We never had a president like this before. I've never seen anything like this. He's Hitler. He's a liar. He's Stalin. He's mentally unfit. He's a this, and he's a that, and he's a that. In fact, we're going to interview Al Sharpton now. And we're going to get his input on racism and anti-Semitism. This is what the idiot Joe Scarborough did. Let's get the input from Al Sharpton. Our next guest, who? Farrakhan. Oh. Yeah, I'm just not in the mood to follow the news point by point by point. I'm in the mood to humiliate these people, to expose them, to mock them. Because they deserve it, as they choke down their turkey legs and their cranberry this and their stuffing that and the spittle's running down their chins. I can see them with their families and their friends mocking Trump, mocking you, mocking me as they spill the dressing or the gravy on their shirts and on their blouses, telling us what a horrible country this is. What a racist country this is. Please pass the mashed potatoes. I'm really full. What's for dessert? Well, we have apple pie. We got this and that. Yeah, okay, thank you. What a country. It sucks. The country sucks. The inequality. Pass the wine. They don't even realize what a great country this is. They have no respect for our history. None. None whatsoever. Don, our buddy Don, Lake Ronkonkoma, on the great WABC. Go.
Marcus, sorry I've been away so long, but it's great to talk to you again, and thank you so much for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I think your Men in Black book may need a second volume to handle some of these nitwit judges that are being this John Tiger, who's this activist judge from a sanctuary city, San Francisco, is now obstructing Trump's asylum ban.
And by the way, he's been involved in other issues related to this president, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
So they form shop. They know to go to him. They know he's a leftist, and that's exactly what he is. He's a leftist dressed up as a judge. He's in San Francisco. and he uses his courtroom and his little office to run immigration policy in this country.
I don't understand how one judge in one little city can affect the entire...
This is a brilliant point, and I keep underscoring it because the damn Supreme Court needs to step up and take care of this.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the Supreme Court, these lower courts, have to follow the rules or the decisions that are set in place by the Supreme Court. And the court needs to take one of these decisions and slap down one of these judges and say, you are not free in some district court holed up in San Francisco in your little office, in your little courtroom, to set national policy. If you want to rule for your particular district, okay, fine, and we'll look at it that way. But you can't save it all. You can't set it all across the country.
Yep. It's just a stall tactic because it's going to go to the Ninth Circuit, and then it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be months from now.
Yep.
You know? Eric, I just want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. To you and your family.
And same to you, my friend. A wonderful family you have to take care of yourself. We've got 1 minute. Drew, Monterey, California, the great KSFO. Go.
Okay, thank you, Mark. You know, you mentioned that anytime Trump makes a move on immigration in any direction, that the media immediately call it a dog whistle to KKK members and Nazis. Well, you know, Mark, I didn't realize that there were so many KKK members and Nazis in Tijuana that are Mexican and speak perfect Spanish.
Isn't it amazing how many white supremacists they have in Mexico?
Well, you know, also, Mark, this judge ruled against the Mexican people because this is going to encourage more of these caravans to come through and make demands in their city.
You make an excellent point. I'm going to follow up on this when we return. Don't miss it, folks. It's compelling. I'll be right back. Isn't it time to ask the Democrats and the media, one and the same, okay, if you don't like our existing immigration laws, you don't like ICE, you don't want to secure the southern border, then tell us what your immigration policies would look like. You go on TV and you argue that these people are hungry, they're poor, they're fleeing crime. If they're not supposed to go to legal points to get into the country and to be vetted and processed so we know who they are and we need to determine if their claims are legitimate or whatever in order to protect us and to protect them, then what exactly do you want? And let me ask you, Mr. Democrat, Mr. Media Person, let me ask you a question. Should we take every single human being who lives and resides outside the United States, who wants to come into the United States? Every single one? Because that seems to be the outcome of your policy. So we need to know. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to get off the defensive and go on the offensive. We can talk about this invasion, and we should, but we ought to go further. We ought to demand that Kamala Harris, who compares ICE to the Klan, now, she won't repudiate Farrakhan. She won't repudiate Sharpton. She won't repudiate Ellison. That kind of racism and bigotry, she doesn't have a problem with it. That kind of anti-Semitism, she doesn't have a problem with it. But it's time that we demand that she, that Hillary Clinton, that Chuck Schumer, all the malcontents, it's time that we demand that Woody the Woodpecker, a.k.a. Joe Scarborough, a.k.a. the movie Deliverance, it's time that we demand that he and the others on that waste and carbon footprint called MSNBC, that they explain to us exactly what their policy is. It's time that Jake Tapper explain to us exactly what policy it is that he seeks. Because the policy, it seems to me, is that anybody can come into the United States. They don't have to come in through a port of entry. They don't have to be vetted. As long as they're hungry, as long as they claim to be leaving crime, as long as they want a better life. And if that's the rule, then we have no damn country. So the Mexican citizens of Tijuana are strongly opposed to the illegal aliens coming into their country and into their city. See, there's a very, very big myth that's been pushed by the left out there. was actually started by Nixon in the census under him, but now the left has embraced it. And that is that all Latinos are the same. All Latinos are not the same. They have different backgrounds, different cultures, different ancestries. A Peruvian is not a Honduran is not a Bolivian is not a Salvadoran, and so forth and so on. And yet, for progressives, they have to put people in groups. They have to put people in groups, identify the groups, stereotype the groups, and then pander to the groups in order to control the groups. You cannot have individuals who think for themselves. Now, the parade that's coming from Honduras and elsewhere through Mexico and in Tijuana is strongly objected to by the people in Tijuana, the Mexicans, and they are carrying Mexican flags opposed to the people who are coming into their city. The mayor is objecting. You can go on the internet. It's all over there. You won't see it on CNN or MSLSD. You actually have to go on the internet, and you will see or watch LEVIN TV tonight, for that matter, and you will see multiple examples of individuals saying Trump is right. This is an invasion. Go home, illegal aliens. They don't call them undocumented aliens, by the way, undocumented immigrants. Go home, illegals. You'll see a sign in Spanish. And it's a lot of people, not a few. And they had to bring out the riot police to separate the groups. Now, I didn't see any white supremacists among any of them. They all have skin like me, olive color skin. No white supremacists. No Trump family members. No racists. I didn't see any Hitlerians there. Nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. Signs that Trump is right and it's an invasion and so forth. One gentleman saying there are criminals here. Another gentleman saying we're giving them food and they don't appreciate our food. They're very rude to us. Now that's somewhat different than the picture being painted by the propagandists. The journalists. The defenders of freedom of the press on the Constipated News Network, CNN, and on MSLSD, among other places. So I guess these Mexicans are racists, are they not? Maybe they're Klansmen. Does it not give the lie to the sickening propaganda that passes as news in this country? I've got another question for you, my beloved audience. Why hasn't the United States Chamber of Commerce moved its office out of Washington, D.C. and moved it down to McAllen, Texas? Move it down to McAllen, Texas. Move it down to El Paso. Go to Yuma, Arizona. Why are all these pro-illegal alien organizations dressed up as business groups, labor groups? Why are they all in Washington, D.C.? Why don't they all open their offices down at the border? Better yet, why is Amazon, with the billions of dollars in sickening subsidies by these Democrat politicians to a Democrat multi-billionaire multiple times over, why is Amazon settling in Arlington, Crystal City, Virginia, and New York City? Why isn't Amazon, who likes to pay wages below the minimum wage, and Amazon, I assume a company that needs as many people as it possibly can for its workforce, why doesn't it go where the workforce is? This is where we're told. Why didn't they settle in McAllen, Texas, or Yuma, Arizona, or El Paso, Texas? How come all these major companies say, oh, we need help, we need help, we need help? Where are we? Well, in Michigan, Northern California, up here in New England. Well, why don't they go down there? I'm quite serious about it. But our immigration policy is not supposed to be based on subsidizing corporations or subsidizing unions or subsidizing the Democrat Party. The corporations, bigger profits. The unions, more dues. The Democrat Party, more votes. The people who are screwed here, we the people. We the people. And this damn judge in San Francisco who thinks he's in charge of immigration policy in this country, when the hell is the Supreme Court in the proper case going to step in and stop this? All these little kings all over the country. I'm issuing a temporary restraining order for the whole country. What? I'm Judge Tiger. Wow, well, does anyone believe, do any of you believe that a single delegate to the Constitutional Convention would support this today? Do any of you believe that a single delegate to the ratifying conventions in the states would have agreed to this? Hell no! We do not live in the constitutional republic that was given to us. We live in something else. And I don't like it one damn bit. We'll be right back.